based on the book no, by Stephen, it says that HBO, or stands for Human Behavior in Organizations, it is a study or a systematic study that investigates the impact of individual, group, and structure in their behavior for the purpose of improving human, organizational effectiveness. So, in other words, it actually concerned on studying kung ano yung mga ginagawa ng people or ng empleyado sa loob ng isang organisasyon, and at the same time pinag-aaralan kung paano yung emosyon na makakaapekto or nagkakaroon ng effect when it comes to their decision making. Okay? And the effect into organizational effectiveness. Later on, we are going to discuss what the effectiveness means. Okay? So now, as you can see in the diagram, I have formulated three determinants. For us to fully understand the first of the three determinants, I'll be putting here individual and then a group. Okay. Now, so ang HBO, it's actually focuses into three determinants. And those two are part of people. We are talking about here individual. So you are the staff or whatever position you have. So I'm talking about here the manager, executive, or administrative, or what specific department you are belong to the moment that you are going to be employed. Now, grouped. So in other words, the moment that you are going to be employed, regardless if you are a fresh graduate or a professional or an experienced man, then who is going to enter with another specific organization, automatically, class, it concerns with the studying of their behaviors in relation to their effectiveness or in achieving the organizational objectives. It has something to do with another independent variable, which as we called the structure. So, what is this structure all about? So, class, in every organization, there is a specific organizational objective. Why is it important? So that is the next question. No? Why we need to understand, no? Or why we need to improve on how to achieve a organizational effectiveness. Let us remember that the organization has an existing, or the moment that the entrepreneurs or the builders or the person who built up this specific organization has a organizational objectives, meaning he has this vision, mission, goals, and objective that they are going to get along with together from the top management down to the downline. So I am talking about here the CEO, COO, department heads, managers or executive position, and then the staff. Okay? In a specific organization, we have this so-called structure. So ano yung structure na to? We're talking about the work design, the bylaws, the rules and regulations. So we have also here the fringe and benefits of the company. Because one thing for sure, the organization hires people for them to be able to define and make ways on how to achieve their organizational objectives in the presence of the manager and the staff. Okay? So work designs. So this is the day-to-day operation. It could be the procedures that they have. Okay? So those three determinants, the individual, group, and structures, are going along in understanding the human behavior in an organization. So, like what I have mentioned, this could be manager or potential manager. So I'm talking about here you. You are going to be potential manager. The moment that you are going to uh, look for a company that you want to be employed with, and then if ever that their performance is good, you are going to be promoted. So you are going to be a potential manager. So this is important and necessary skills for both manager and potential manager, and at the same time to individual. Why? Because individual is working in and under organization. That's why they need to understand why people behave in that manner. Because just like this, we could not predict or justify that the person, or we could actually accept that the person is acting differently in the same situation. So let's say, for an instance, what do I mean by that? Uh, we have this so-called monetary reward, no? And then at the same time, we have this so-called the accolade, or I'm talking about the tangible and intangible. Okay, so let us observe the realistic situation. No, we need to accept that a certain person acts differently, although it is the same situation. So there are persons who are motivated by money. But some of your peers or some of the employees are not motivated with money, but instead of recognition, appreciation, or accolades. See, it is the same situation, diba? By the act of rewarding. However, they are behaving differently because of the means that has been given to them. As simple as that. So that's why you, as a person, you as a potential manager, you should know how to deal with or how to strategize on that specific situation. Kasi you want your people or team, or you want the people to become productive and effective. But since you don't have an idea or concrete background in understanding specific situations, like what we have mentioned in our example, binigyan mo siya ng pera. 'Di ba? Nakagawa siya ng maganda. Then you have provided him for example, a 1,000 pesos shopping certificate into the Pure Gold. Tapos, at the end of so you are expecting that he or she is going to perform the same manner the moment that he become productive at that time, no? But the result is failed, no? You have failed to expect, no? The result is different, no? Ay hindi mo pala na-analyze or hindi mo pala naintindihan that he is not expecting money. He is just expecting, or she is just expecting for your appreciation. Isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit kailangan ng isang manager or ng isang tao na maintindihan kung paano makisalamuha sa mga tao, 'di ba? It is a case-to-case basis, because we have this so-called absolute concept in OB. We call this one as contingency variable. Okay? So what do we mean by that? 'Di ba? So for example, this application of X leads to Y. Okay? In other words, we could not tell that participative decision making is always necessary. Ibig sabihin, the Democrat leadership is not always necessary or superior to autocrat leadership. So meaning, it is depends on the specific situation and what specific condition is being formulated or has been given. 'Di ba? Kasi not most of the time being when it comes to the decision making of the manager, participative leadership, meron urgency eh. Okay? Like me, there are chances that you are going to face a specific problem that needs to have your conceptual should I say skill, no? A manager should possess on how to analyze a specific complex situation. Let's say, for an instance, getting an alternative. An example, in our delivery, no, I am in the service team, no. Um, at that moment, meron kaming policies or procedures when it comes to the delivery of the items. It is at least 1 to 6 days because we have this specific tracking system. No, there are customers. No, as we all know, the customers are the lifeblood of every organization. Without it, you are not going to gain profit. No, without it, you are going to be obsolete. Okay, we have a lot of story of obsolete company or the at the verge, they are at the top of the iceberg, no, at the top of the mountain. However, because they are not dealing in improving their customer service, nawala sila ng paunti-unti. I'm talking about the Nokia and then the rise of the Apple. Okay, now going back to my situation. So, like what I have mentioned, being a manager, you should know how to understand a specific, a complex situation. So, at that moment, our delivery procedure or the period or the duration of delivery of the products, no, the goods, no, rather, is within 6 days. But there is one customer that wants it to be delivered within 3 days and 2 days because uh, at the top of the situation, he or she is going to fly back to America. So he is going to bring that product. So at that moment, if you could not be able to understand the behavior of your customer, why he behaved like that, no? Kasi hindi niya naman sinabi that he or she will be flying back in America. So that is a specific behavior. Bakit itong customer namin na iba is they are agreeing with the 1 to 6 days delivery time or period. However, this specific situation, he is demanding. Okay? All customers are demanding. Diba? So we need to address that one. We need to address their needs. Diba? Doon tayo kumikita eh. So what I did is, since our tracking system has something to do with another delivery, meaning kasi there is a specific schedule for that one. So I checked on our company car, no? Since the item is not that heavy and at the same time the location is good, no, I could be able to deliver that one. So if I don't know how to deal with that kind of customer, or if you don't know how to deal with the customer, automatically it is loss of profit. So that's why you have to understand human behavior skills, or you should have a human behavior skills rather. Okay? Did you get the point? Are you already coming up with a concept? Bakit importante at kung ano ang HBO? Later, we are going to make that diagram in a complete form, in its complete form. Okay? Now, so one thing for sure, we are talking about here, or it is concerned to the employment related situation. So that's why do not be surprised that we are going to discuss about absenteeism, productivity, performance. Of course, the performance of the managers and the performance of individual that leads to productivity and meaning achieving of organizational objectives. Okay, so let's proceed with the diagram. Okay, in a simple explanation, class, these managers and individuals has specific goals to achieve. One thing for sure, they are being paid or they've been hired by the company because they're expecting to move or to put an input or to put their input into an output that is related to their organizational objectives. So if we are talking about private organization, like what I have mentioned, they are after for the profit. And if it is a social institution, I'm talking about government agency. If you're part of that, you are into pre-service or services. Okay? So this is the private organization. Organization. This is the goal. And then this could be a government or social institution. 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 Okay. Now we are almost completing the diagram. So now class, these goals to achieve has something to do with a person's motivation. Okay? This is not actually the productivity of an individual is not just simply by working. No, kumbaga, the moment that he is going to be hired, he is completely motivated. Like what I've said, different people act in the different situation. No, so it's a way to achieve its goal depends on its or on his or her motivation. Before, so this motivation has something to do with his perception and at the same time affected by challenges. Okay? So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? So class, we are expecting that regardless if you are a fresh graduate or an experienced man, we are expecting the moment that you are going to enter in a specific organization, you are already intact with different characteristics. So what do I mean by that? It is based on the age, sex, gender, so marital status. Okay? It is because of your experiences in life. So what do I mean by that? Kasi ganito siya. Um, a manager should consider that a family man or a husband, no, he has something to do with this as a role of being a husband, as a parent to their children, and then he's also thinking economically, 'di ba? In the reason behind why he or she or he entered into an organization, he expecting an income. to feed his family. So the moment that you are not going to find out what is the specific characteristic that is still intact with him, no, uh, you could not be able to justify what specific uh, variables that affects his behavior in the workplace, right? Kasi ganito yan eh. We have this so-called limitations, okay? Considering the others independent variables, later we're going to discuss that one, specifically the individual level variables. So ito yung tinatawag na the core, no? That will be affecting the dependent variables na yung sinabi nga ni Castante kanina, the motivation, the motivation, the productivity, no? Absenteeism. So we have so much of those problems the moment that these independent variables will be affected or will not be considered by the manager. Okay? So let us move on. So perception, this is how he process things or how he see things. So the challenges, the one that I have mentioned, no, it is natural that he is going to deal with different struggles for him to become motivated. There's no easy task. There's no easy job, class. Remember that. Okay? In every process, kaya nga process yan eh. No? If we are going to compare it in the process of making a diamond, no? Um, uh, from imagine from the ugliest stone, and then it went through to the hottest flame when it comes to the refurnishing or refurbishing, or kumbaga pinapakinis siya sa pinaka matitining na bakal, and then at the end of the day or at the end of the process you will be looking a small but precious gems or gem. Okay? Now, these motivations, if it is fully motivated or in Maslow hierarchy of needs, we call this self-actualized, is going to be productive. We are talking about productivity. However, like what I have mentioned, his or her productivity level will depend on his limitations. So I am talking about here physical limitations and other factors. So this productivity is one of the dependent variables. Again, it is connected with the independent variables. Variable. Okay. Limitations, class. As we all know, in terms of physical limitation, persons get exhausted. They're going to be tired. So imagine one classic example. Your company has face off layoff, no, automatically originally you are five you have five members or you have five staff to work with the assembly line or in the process of, for example, in making of a car. Okay, you are the manager, and then you have five members because your company is facing economic recession or you need to lay off. They have been they are removing two staff, no, imagine five-person could, let's say, could build a four cars or assemble cars rather, yung mga ano lang yung major parts ha, assemble cars for at least four in a day, itong five na yun ha. And then so automatically if they are going to work in 6 days, they're going to produce 30. right? Now, since your company has faced layoff, then it has been removed by two. So that is most probably 20% of your productivity level will be affected because instead of producing, uh, should I say, sorry, 5 times 6, 4 times 6 is how many? 24, right? No, so instead of four, naging dalawa na lang. So nabawasan yung productivity level mo because you have lost two members, and at the same time, you as a manager, instead of you are just supervising or checking, double checking all the processes that they are making or doing, you need to be on the line. Ikaw ang magtatrabaho. So automatically, it will leads into your all limitations. 'Di ba? You have to go overtime together with your team for you to be able to come up with your quota. And then anong magiging mangyayari doon? The productivity level will decline because one thing for sure, the quality will be compromised. Imagine three persons only in making four in doing what to call this, in assembling a car, plus you could not be able to um monitor further what are the lackingness, 'di ba, in terms into the assembly process or assembling process. So it has something to do with that. 'Di ba? How are you going to deal with those kind of situation if you don't have the human behavior skills? 'Di ba? What specific application of approach that you are going to do for them to be able to understand why they need to work overtime? Are you getting the point, class? Are you getting the point?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
You're getting the
Yes.
point, right? Simply yung explanation natin, ay simply yung example natin. Okay? So, here, all in all, this framework is the things that we are going to discuss in understanding HBO. So, let's discuss it further. Okay? So, Castante, Stephen,
Sir.
Gutierrez, sino pa yung isa? So I have mentioned
Sir,
the things that you have discussed, right? So
yes,
meaning you
sir.
are correct, regardless if it is not specific. However, it is still something to do with the things that you have mentioned. Okay. Now, let us justify this complex diagram. Okay. Let us review. Let us remember that people needs organization because in economic terms, they need to provide or they need to what they call this? They need to have an income because they have this family to feed. Okay? That is the rationale behind. Now, the organization needs people because at the same time, the organization has organizational objectives. So they want a people or specific person to define and make ways to achieve that specific organizational objectives, 'di ba? If they don't have people, sino ang magtatrabaho para sa kanila, 'di ba? How are they going to earn the desired profit if they don't have the people? Okay? Same goes with the people, or we are talking about here the manager and individual. 'Di ba? If there's no organization, paano sila magtatrabaho? And then how are they going to earn? Okay? So it is a cycle, right? Okay, these people or the manager, potential manager, if they are working in the organization, they have this goals to achieve because one thing for sure, the organization is existing to or that is existed with organizational objectives or the VMGO or where the company goes or leads to or what specific path they're going towards to. And that organization has specific structure. So We are talking about here the work design, work design. Oops, lang yung ano ko. Work design, the bylaws, rules and regulations that need to be followed, and then at the same time, the processes, procedure, and yung pinakagusto nyo sa lahat is the fringe and benefits. As this is the existing structure or design of organization has something to do with the person's behavior inside the workplace. So this kind of factors probably affect the productivity and effectiveness of an individual or of an employee. Okay? That's why we are going to experience absenteeism, turnover. Should we say the turnover has something to do with voluntary and involuntary? No, we're talking about the layoffs because nga, like what I have mentioned, uh, because the company experiencing a recession. Okay, so to top it all, the goals to achieve that the manager, when it comes to the, if it belongs to the private organization, is profit. Then if us, like for example, we are a facilitator or administrator, we are in the free service. No, we are being paid by the government because this is a social institution. And then for them to be able to achieve their goals effectively and efficiently, they need to get motivated. That is an independent variable because that is constant. No, but this specific motivation, they're going to be demotivated if ever there will be challenges. And then their motivation still basis or depends, no, in their perception or how they see things, no, how they interpret things, no. If a person is fully motivated or self-actualized, it leads into his productivity, or he's going to be a productive person. So how are we going to determine if a person is an effective or efficient? Efficient or efficiency. So let me cite an example. So let me define first. When we say effective, a person, an individual or an employee is an effective. No, he's effective when it comes to the work if he will do things or if he could make things done. No, kapag natapos niya, yung for example at the end of the day, he needs to process documents, and then kapag nakatapos siya ng at least the average would be 10 documents in a day, he's going to be an effective because he met his goal. So when we say efficient or working efficiently, it making things right, no? Because in the effective, no, we could not determine, or we could determine that it is error free, or it could be less of an error, right? But you are ineffective because you've done the things at the right time, at the right process, but there are an error, no? When we say you are working efficiently, so let's say for an instance, you are saving costs or you are lowering the cost. So again, it's still after to the money. So what is the specific example? So imagine, let's say for an instance that Stephen and Aguilar is a driver of the trucking, no? A tracking services. Your company dispatch goods, no? It delivers from one place to another. So let's say from Manila to Tagaytay, no? In the average or in the daily activities, the one trip, no, ibig sabihin from back and front, no? For example, they need to at least 7 hours ang pagbabiyahe, No, that is the average. That is the exact for them to for us to be able to to identify or to determine if it is what they call this based on the company's procedure. No, 6 hours. Tapos dapat it runs into at least 7 miles in an hour. No, ngayon may situation na si Stephen uh, pagdating niya sa Tagaytay and going back to the what they call this to the should I say the storage, no, or the area where the delivery the goods is being uh consolidated, no, is just 7 miles. So he meets it, no, he meets the standard time, no, 7 miles. Tapos it saves a gas at least uh 2 liters. That is the average. Now, ngayon naman, si same with Aguilar, nag-deliver siya at bumalik siya from Tagaytay, then bumalik may sa may storage ng company ninyo. Ang nangyari, siya naman, nag-drive siya into 9 miles and then it saves at least 3 liters ng gas. So, ibig sabihin, si Stipe, si Aguilar are the one who's working efficiently in comparison to what do you call this? Si Stephen. But Stephen is working effectively. Kasi he does it based on the standard time and the standard procedure. However, Aguilar saves 1 liter or more, one more liter than Stephen. But on the same standard. Nagagets nyo? Are you getting the point? No? In other words, you are working effectively if your job is being to be done at that specific day with a specific time and then you meet it, you don't need to go overtime. However, you're going to work efficiently if ever that all the tasks that you are going to do in a specific day, you've done it earlier than the 5 o'clock time. Gets nyo yun? So, ibig sabihin you're lowering the cost. No? So, ibig sabihin you still have things to do, not to cater. That is working efficiently. Okay? That is the difference between the two. Okay? So far, this is the diagram in understanding HBO. Now, let us proceed with the contributing disciplines to the OB field. Hello, class? You want an air to breathe? Do I need to pause? Hello? Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it? Parang tumatawa ka,
So,
Stephen.
Yes,
kung
sir.
nasa ako dun sa ano mo, are you,
You're
getting,
getting it, ha? So I will proceed. I will proceed. We still have 3 topics to discuss. Are we? So I'm going to proceed na. Okay, now let's go to the contributing disciplines to the OB field. Like what I have mentioned, this HBO or human organization has a reason why we need to study. In the first place, because during the 1987, no, during the 1987, they said that technical skills is necessary. So we are talking about here economic, financial, quantitative, quantitative, quantitative skills. So these are the technical skills that a manager should possess or in any business courses that is part of the curriculum. Okay, though they know that having interpersonal skills or what we call the human behavior skills or the people skills is also important to achieve managers effectiveness. No, so how are you going to deal with difficult staff? in a different situation if you don't have a human skills. Okay? Now, soon they came to realize, though they have given minimal attention to human skills, that dealing with people is also an important factor, or no are superior than technical skills for a manager to perform well, or to that leads to managerial effectiveness. Okay? So, if you're going to look in your book, there is a study that it is not merely the fringe and benefits that makes the staff or that makes the individual to stay in the company. It is because of, yes, Castante, you're going to butt in?
No, sir. Nawala po kasi ako. Kakabalik ko
Ah,
lang.
okay. So going back, moving forward, based on the study, in the US study, it is not merely the fringe and benefits, ibig sabihin, the income or the entry rate or whatever you are receiving monetary, in monetary terms, no? And then the benefits or the packages. So we are talking about the leaves, 13-month pay, just like that, or whatever the monetary rewards of the company. It's incentives, no, that is an additional effort for the company. No, it is not merely because of that why people in the organization, within the organization, stays. No, they much prepared an ambience and a good, uh should I say, a good ambience or a beautiful ambience, so that they could not feel exhausted, and at the same time a type of leadership that has something to do with people centered, no, not merely organizational centered. Okay, because there are some managers, specifically the builders, and then at the same time the baby boomers, kasi that is part of their characteristics, no, in their generations. They really wanted to become autocrat type of leadership, autocratic type of leadership. They really wanted to be focused in terms of decision making. They don't want others to become to participate with the decision making, no, in how to achieve a specific goals. However, it has changed. No, the organization let the downline or the staff to decide and become responsible in working with their specific organizational objectives or department's objectives. So, all in all, you as a manager, you shouldn't always use your intuition, but instead determining it or considering it to a systematic study. So, what do we mean by intuition and systematic study? Class, when we say intuition, diba, as a manager, you are uh, interpreting and making a conclusion by the feelings or by your feelings, no, without any research or without a corresponding data, no. Since you have already experienced those situation, you could easily judge, no, based on the person's behavior. However, let us consider that a person is not going to be irrational in the view of others if we could be able to understand or know what motivates him or what makes him decide to behave in that way. That's why HBO comes to place, right? We need to understand further in a systematic way or in a systematic study, meaning you are looking into the attributing factors from the cause and effect. Kung ano yung dahilan, major reasons, why is being like that, and then it will materialize physically. Okay? Because class, just like this, if you are always using your intuition in concluding in a specific situation, or in drawing or creating conclusion, for you to sum it up all, no, it will lead you in predicting to erroneous errors. No, ibig sabihin, you might interpret it incorrectly. Alam natin 'yan. Uh, we are the student of behavior. Since the beginning, we tend to observe people, persons, regardless if we are still not working in the organization, even in our daily lives, di ba? As a person, lalo na kayo, you are you tend to um, immediately conclude and reply. For example, in a social media, there is a specific person who's very vocal. Since you are against with his or her statement or opinions, automatically you are going to reply back against with his statements based on your opinions, right? But it's not because your intuition comes to play, 'di ba? Without knowing what is the reason behind why he or she has posted at that manner, hindi natin alam. Maybe she has this data, or she has her data that makes him or that makes her to justify his opinions. He has the supporting evidences and facts, 'di ba? To post it in FB group. No, malalaman naman natin eh if a person is just seeking an attention, or if he or she is trying to imply a specific concept or idea. Okay? So that is the reason why you need to understand human behavior. Okay? Iba kasi ang behavior into the attitude. Okay? We are going to discuss that one on the lesson number 2, or the chapter 2. Okay? Napakadali lang, 'di ba? So, what are the specific disciplines that contribute to OB? So we have this psychology. So thanks to psychological study, because we could be able to um, check the reason behind it, concerns with the problems of fatigue, boredom, and other factors relevant to working condition that could impede efficient work performance. No, we this psychological study help us to understand bakit the people gets tired, while why the persons get bored in the workplace, meaning siguro paulit-ulit yung ginagawa niya because he is already 10 years, no, very tenured in the company. We need to understand that one. Kaya nga pag ako, pag there is a mature person in my team, I have a different attachment. No, I am addressing him as sir, Mr. So if you're what they call this, Mr. Eugene. No, Eugene, I know Eugene is already a tenured person. So that's why I am respecting him. But I'm not telling that I'm not respecting you. No, I'm just addressing you in your name because I want as much as possible the relations to be mutual. Okay. Now, we have this so-called sociology. Of course, this is how a person communicates or socialize with his peers. No, like what I have said, tayo kasi we are into social proof, no? Let's say for an instance, um there is a study na nagbigay ng there is 5 members, no? Merong isang, yung apat is an actor, then the one is the not the accomplice. Siya yung bibiktimahin, or siya is yung subject of the study. So ganito, kung kailan nagiging importante ang sociology, or what is the contribution of this sociology or the sociological discipline into OB. No, for example, nagkaroon ng study, hindi pala example. Let's say this study, no? May 5 tao, yung 4 is the actor, and then the one is the subject. Okay? So merong pinakita sa kanila, 3 linya, yung isa, one thing for sure, ma-analyze mo na maliit, and the rest is 3 malalaki, ganito. So ito yung number 1, short, number 2, at number 3, are the same size, no? Ang nangyayari, binigyan ng instruction yung apat na actors na kapag tinanong kung ano yung pinakamaliit sa tatlo, you have to say that number, ay sorry, kung ano yung ano yung magkatulad na size, no? Ang sasabihin nyo is number one. Ayun yung sa actor. But in the first place, if you are just alone, he could be able to check that one thing for sure, number one is the smallest among the two. No? Kasi sa pareho lang naman yung size ng 2 and 3 eh. Okay, so itong actors ngayon, sinabihan na sila, dapat ang i-choose mo is either number 2 or 3. Okay? Knowing the fact that number 1 is the correct answer. Ngayon, nagkaroon na ng discussion. O, ano yung pinaka maliit dyan or naiiba sa iba? Yung mga actors na apat, since marami sila, no? They said that number 2, number 3. Yan. Walang pumipili dun sa number 1. So ikaw, since the group has something to do with your decision making, since you are not that much inclined in terms of what do you call this, in dealing and engaging with that specific situation, mapapa-agree ka na number 2 or number 3 is the correct answer, knowing that common sense, that number 1 is correct. We call that one as social proof. Diba? Because there are so many persons that agrees, no, into a specific concept, regardless if it is true or not, ayun yung nagiging specific concept and idea sa'yo that you need to accept. See, that's why one of the determinants is group, no? Not only individual in understanding human behavior. Kasi your peers has something to do with your behavior. You are behaving differently when you are alone, then you are also behaving differently, or ibig sabihin you are being affected by your peers that you are belong to. Kaya nga tinatawag na what pact are you belong. Okay? So regardless of the gender, 'di ba? We have this heterogeneous, we call this heterogeneous regardless of age. Kaya pag nakita mo sa workplace, lahat ng magkakaedad or mga tenure, they are the one who's going to be with each other. Okay? Kapag ikaw naman bago, dun ka sa mismong tao na tumulong sa'yo, that trains you. So that is an observable observations that a manager should look into. It has something to do with that. No? Lalo na kapag ikaw yung bagong empleyado, tapos ang nagturo sa iyo is, kumbaga, he is not that organizational centered, automatically all the bending rules or bending of rules will be passed on to that new employee. So you have to look into that as a manager. If you are not an observant manager, you are not into conceptual, you don't have this specific conceptual skills, no? You cannot be able to identify that. That's why it is very important. Okay? Are we clear? Did you get the point? It's already 10:23. Okay. Now, um, let's have the challenges and opportunities for OB class. So, and then we are going to uh, continue the lesson next meeting. So first we have this globalization, challenges and opportunity for OB responding to globalization. As simple as this, 'di ba? As we all know that when economic progress, automatically different companies is progressing as well. Okay? We have this, if your company is just working in a specific country, or kumbaga its main office is within the Philippines, but since it experienced an economic progress, ibig sabihin it is doing well economically, producing more profit than the expected or desired goal, or what we call the return on investment, the ROI, automatically they will engage into multinational activity. No, they are going to make a branch in different countries. So what what is that what that specific challenges something to do with a manager or a person like you. So if you are a manager, automatically, since your company has leveled up, since you are the tenured and experienced person, there is a chance that you are going to be transferred to your Singapore branch. Okay? Now that is again a challenge because automatically the culture, the characteristic of Filipinos is different from Singaporeans and mix. No? So you are going to handle multicultural individuals. So again, if you don't know how to deal with different cultures and behaviors of Singaporeans, there will be a miscommunication. There will be a misunderstanding. Okay? But if you have the idea on how to deal with those um, citizen or Singaporean citizen, later on, you are going to have a harmony or harmonious relationship to or with them. Okay? Now, hanggang dito na lang tayo sa managing workforce diversity. Like what I have said, 'di ba? Nowadays, the setup of the organization, specifically in the specific department, is diverse. Nag-iiba-iba na. This is not just intended for Christians. We have also peers na Muslim. Okay, we have different religions, and then there is also a there trivial, no? Pwedeng meron tayong kapeers na from one of our tribe, no? They have different cultures, no? So how are you going to deal with those persons, or what is the specific approach, or what is the right approach that you are going to apply for you to be able to communicate well with them if you don't have the human skills? So that's why it is a challenge to OB. Okay, we need to consider that one, because one thing for sure, like what I have said, if that independent variables or the individual level variables, yan, yung pagiging uh, culturally diverse, it will lead to affect the dependent variables, yung turnover, absenteeism, or might as well, if you are not respecting the religion, or you don't know how to deal with this diverse workforce that you have or diverse team that you have, might as well you will experience turnover. Aalis yan ng kumpanya because like what we have mentioned in the statistical study, that it is not because of the fringe and benefits that makes a person leave the company. It is because of the ambience, or might as well because of the approach and the toleration of his or her peers and his or her manager. Okay? Are you getting it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it? So
Yes.
far, we are going to continue. So we're going to discuss workforce um, improving quality and productivity, responding to the labor shortage, improving customer service, improving people skills, empowering people, coping with temporariness and stimulating innovation and change, and helping employees balance work life and conflicts. This one, it is related. So this is no longer updated kasi we are already experiencing the work from home, no? And then improving ethical behavior. And then we are going to discuss the dependent variables, yung lagi ko pang kaninang sinasabi, and then independent variables, why it is important in understanding HBO, because it is the core determinants for you to fully analyze and understand the human behavior skills. Okay? May I see your individual camera? 1 minute na lang tayo. Ito na yung camera ko. So, how was it? Do you have any reflection about the things that I have discussed? Malalim ba yung pagkakadiscuss ko? Ha?
Sir,
Did you
parang
get the
ang bilis lang po.
bilis ng facing? Because
Opo.
this PowerPoint, no, I just like what I've said, it is a framework. So it is something to do with the things that we are going to discuss. Binigay ko lang sa inyo kung paano tatakbo ang ating lesson. Okay? Kaya I form it into the diagram for you to be able to understand fully. So any comments? How was it? Did you understand kung bakit importante ang pag-aaral ng human behavior? That is just an introduction class. Kasi we are going to go one by one specifically to the independent variables. We are talking about here the human learnings, motivations, attitude, and behavior. Iisa-isahin natin yan. Wala pa yun. Introduction pa lang yun. Okay? Kulang nga eh. Kasi we need to understand the challenges and then at the same time the dependent and independent variables when it comes to human behavior in organization. Any takeaways? Ah? Any realization? And then we are going to get into the Michael Bowser's experience. Any takeaways, class? What do you think? Why now? You answer why HBO is important? So sino yung mga makikinabang kapag pinag-aralan ng human behavior skills or if you have this human behavior skills? Okay, 4 persons. I'm going to grade based on what I have discussed and based on what you have heard. Ano class? Anyone? Tell me. Mm.
Sir,
Sino yan? Who's
Christine
that?
Sir Buot.
Abuo, tell me.
Sir, lahat po makikinabang po kapag pinag-aralan po yung ano, human behavior po. Kasi kunwari po sa manager, kapag pinag-aralan po nila yung human skills, maintindihan nila yung kung ano yung takbo ng iniisip ng kada empleyado nila. Magbe-benefit po yung manager doon. Tapos yun sa empleyado din naman po, magbe-benefit din sila towards sa mga co-workers nila, maintindihan din nila kung bakit ganito mag-isip yung katrabaho nila. Ganun.
Okay. Thank you, Buot. 4 more. Any other answers? Simple lang. I will dismiss you na. Any other? Sino pa? Hindi yata kayo nakinig eh. Hello? Oh, I'm going to stop
Sir,
this. Who's that? Sino
Sandy
yun?
po.